Preseason week 2 of the NFL might not be super fitting for the primetime music just yet, but like Prater said at the beginning of Idaho Sports Talk today, we've made it 32 weeks without any form of college football. That ends on Saturday morning in Dublin, Ireland, Michael Forrest Prater.
Absolutely excited about that.
That's
actually
kind of weird.
I mean, technically, I don't know if it's morning because it's 12:30 here. So we got to suffer through another Saturday morning, if I remember the kickoff time right. But I don't care at this point. It could be midnight, and we're fired up and excited for that.
Well, we'll get back to that at 5 o'clock. Again, big shout out to Petros. That was fun having him on. We always love talking football with Petros Papadakis. Let's get to the NFL, Prater. Week 2 of the preseason concludes tonight, Monday Night Football. Boise State fan can see tight end John Bates in action. We'll see if Charles Leno Jr. plays the first series or so. But a lot of other players played games over the weekend, Prater. Was there something you wanted to get at first before I tell everybody in our community how scared I am right now of one player?
No, that sounds like you should dive in and tell us that.
Prater, I'm scared, man. Khalil Shakir is one of my favorites, dude. And I don't fanboy a lot of Boise State guys other than Kellen Moore, but I fanboy Khalil Shakir. I like him, man. He makes me feel good about myself inside. And
I'm not sure what that means.
I know,
but
I'm an idiot. He had 20 targets all last year, okay? 10 he caught. He's not getting any action in the preseason. The Bills over the weekend, and you were saying, hey, Josh Allen looks like he's struggling a little bit too, but Khalil Shakir against your Steelers, 1 target, 0 receptions. He's not in the rotation much. I'm not seeing much out of him, obviously. Maybe I'm just freaking out here, but I'm worried right now about the future of Khalil Shakir with the Buffalo Bills. He was a 5th-round draft pick. You can cut a 5th-rounder. I hope this isn't going to happen, Prater, but they're not playing him. I thought this was going to be a good time for Khalil Shakir to go out there and catch balls, get targets, and be Shaq, and they don't use him. They're signing guys. Andy Isabella off the waiver wire. I'm seeing these guys out there. Prater, it's pissing me off.
Well, I mean, you're a smarter football fan than that to get all emotional over a second preseason game. That's a little ridiculous on your part, but I have no idea. I mean, unless I had direct access to the coach and the coaching staff, I don't know if this is in their game plan. I don't know if they like him. You can't really put intention into a preseason game. So when you came into my cubicleville and said you think Khalil Shakir is going to get cut, that might have been the stupidest thing I've ever heard you say. I'm not going to sit here and say he can be a 2 or a 3. I mean, I think he's fighting for a 3 or 4 spot at best at wide receiver, but there's not a chance in hell they're going to cut him. Yes, they can cut 5th-rounders in the NFL. Yes, they do it every single day in the NFL, but Khalil Shakir's time with this football team, I think, is just fine. Although I am concerned about the Bills and their offense, period. I'm not sure that they're keeping – I think they're taking steps back while everybody else in the AFC is taking steps forward.
Now, what do you make of other situations? Again, this is the NFL, Boise State players over the weekend. We've had our Chargers insider on saying that John Hightower is having this terrific camp. We know he's just coming off an injury, Prater. He was targeted 6 times in the game last night, Chargers-Saints. I caught a little bit of this action, but I only caught 1 of those 6 balls for 10 yards. Where do you think it is? Where's John Hightower right now in terms of the Charger receiver room?
Couldn't tell you exactly. I don't have access to Kellen Moore, but I know it's progress. Last week, John Hightower didn't even play, and we were worried about him having injuries. The fact that he actually played in this game, got 6 targets. Most of them, I think they were all late in the game with Easton Stick, so I got no problem with that. If John Hightower doesn't make this team, I'm not going to be surprised based on where he's been the last couple of years. If he makes this team and or a practice squad or whatever the rules are these days and hangs on, I think that's about as good as it's going to get with John Hightower. But I saw week-to-week progress from him last week.
You still think he's got a shot at the 53?
Oh, absolutely.
I do too, man.
Absolutely.
I do too. 6 targets. That means hopefully you're factored into the game plan in some regard. They're throwing you balls in preseason because they want to see what they can do with you in the regular season. Brett Rippon, Prater, he was perfect. 4 for 4 for 14 yards. That's only like 3.8 yards per attempt. very low. Stetson Bennett got the start for the Rams. Our boy Brett Rippon trying to hang in the league, trying to fight for the right to be Matthew Stafford's backup in that Sean McVay offense. And Stetson Bennett did throw a pick six. I guess that's good for Rippon, but what do you make of Brett Rippon only getting to throw 4 attempts this week?
Well, it's an extension of what happened last week. Last week in game one, he started and then just absolutely sucked. In this particular second game, preseason game, he came off the bench and absolutely sucked. So he's thrown 10 passes in 2 preseason games. Stetson Bennett has thrown 53 passes in 2 preseason games. At this point, Brett Rippon has definitely lost the starting job, the backup job with the Rams. At best, he's trying to fight for number 3 on that spot. And I have no idea if they're going to keep 3 quarterbacks or not. I would assume that they do. I would assume that Brett Rippon's still going to have a job in the NFL, but I don't think he's no longer a backup, in my opinion.
Is there anybody you think is on life support, or they're just maybe, look out for the Turk in the locker room, because the next time you see him, he's going to say, hey, coach wants to see you. Bring your playbook.
John Malshon is always on the hook for me. He came off the bench and had a false start this weekend, but he's not going to get cut because of that. But just, he's always been hanging on. Hightower, as we just talked about. Jean Ojukwu did not play. If he can't get healthy, he might be a goner. Brett Rippon could easily be cut. Jeremy McNichols could easily be cut. I know he led the 49ers in rushing with 6 carries for 29 yards this past weekend, but that tells me absolutely nothing. Moa for sure is on the chopping block, I think. Matlock, I think, is going to be fine. Skinner is going to be fine. I think Caleb Biggers has worked his way into a roster spot with the Cleveland Browns.
Practice squad minimum.
Yeah. Tyreek Jones, I don't know about him. George Tarlas is going to get cut. Tanner Vallejo may get cut, and Curtis Weaver got cut today.
For me, it's George Tarlas. He did play. He did not record any type of stat. Last week, the only stat he recorded was on special teams, Prater. I think when he tackled Jeremy McNichols. By the way, the McWeapon, our boy, last 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, he's tackled by Tarlas. This weekend, he's tackled by J.L. Skinner. What's with all these Boise State guys tackling our boy, Jeremy McNichols, 2 weeks in a row? But for me, George Tarlas, if you haven't made that impression in the first 2 preseason games, maybe they keep you along. And Prater, I don't even know how a lot of teams treat preseason game number 3 now. Remember, this is the last preseason game. It used to be preseason 3 was the dress rehearsal.
Yep.
All the starters play at least the first half. Then preseason week 4, nobody plays. But this is the last one. So maybe George Tarlas gets a ton of snaps. Maybe he doesn't get any snaps. I think George Tarlas, as an NFL football player, that career is in massive limbo right now. It might be a USFL, XFL thing. For our boy George Tarlas, the Bora, whatever he was, JP's Bora Lions. But Tyreek Jones, man, he led the Titans in tackles, 7. He had 1 pass defense. I mean, he's playing really well. I'm almost thinking I'm expecting Tyreek at worst to be on a practice squad. It feels like he's having a pretty good camp. Stay healthy, and let's see if we can get Tyreek Jones, number 30, for the Titans in action. I already told him last time we had him on, I promised him if he makes the team, I have to buy a Tennessee Titan number 30 Jones jersey. So Tyreek, it's up to you.
Yeah, I'd love to see it happen. Our guy, we had a Tennessee Titans insider on last week. He sent me a text message over the weekend and said, nothing has changed. It's still a numbers game. And Tyreek Jones is still very much on the border there. Practice squad at best. I don't think he's going to make the 53-man roster, but if he could get on that practice squad and work for a couple of years, we can see what happens. But I don't think that there's any guarantee that Tyreek Jones is going to make that team. But, hey, leading the team in tackles preseason week number 2, that's never a bad thing, right?
No. You guys give us one Boise State rookie right now trying to make a training camp. I'll throw Scott Matlock out of this because I think we all assume Matlock is going to make the 53. Probably a strong assumption that Skinner will as well. But text us. Who do you think's outperformed? Who do you think is performing very well? Who do you think has a chance to make a 53-man roster that you used to watch here on the Blue? Text us 208-424-9300, and we'll talk about that coming up next hour. One more thing, Prater. Tonight, John Bates, you get to see him in action. Maybe a little bit of Charles Leno. Be nice to see Bates get a couple of catches, right?
Yeah, I don't know what they have planned for him. I know he played very, very little in week number 1. As a matter of fact, did he even play?
John Bates?
Yeah.
He plays tonight.
No, I'm talking about week 1. There's no guarantee he's playing tonight.
Yeah. I think he got in week 1, but he didn't catch a pass as far as I know. And I think Leno started, played the first series, and then they took him out last week. That'll probably happen again, but it's tracking offensive linemen. What, you're going to tally up the pancakes he has, Prater?
Yeah, I have no idea what their plans are for those two tonight.
I love it. That's our video segment here on KTIK, The Ticket. We're Prater in the ball game, and every program. We thank you, Dollar Loan Center. They've been funding loans for 25 years. That's it. Don'tBeBroke.com. Safe, regulated, inexpensive, and soon 16 Idaho locations. How about that? Apply online for up to $5,000 at Don'tBeBroke.com. And for a limited time, your first loan is even free. So some great stuff there. Oh, Prater's going to be happy. The Stanley Cup champions, your Vegas Golden Knights, are coming to town. Sort of. JP, give us the details on this. We're Prater in the ball game. This is Idaho Sports Talk on KTIK, The Ticket.
This is Idaho Sports Talk